So yesterday we talked a little bit about the journalistic sabotage that's going on over at DC Studios from all of the Access media that seems to want Superman to fail, or at the very least, they want themselves to succeed more than they care about this movie doing well. But Variety took this to new heights at the Superman premiere, where a very particular journalist who we have talked about endlessly on this channel, he's actually probably the greatest person working in Hollywood today, decided to make all his questions for the actors and the people behind the camera about immigration.
Yeah, I kind of love this Variety journalist. I have like a special affection for him for some reason because he's an agent of chaos.
He is.
Every time that he shows up on a red carpet, for instance, the most infamous one is his interview with Chris Pratt. Or no, he was interviewing Chris Hemsworth rather, yeah. And he said, "What was it like to see your Thor ass on screen for the first time?"
But it's not just that; he's also like, "Is this the gayest Marvel movie yet?"
Tell us that it's the gayest show ever.
The gayest show ever. So what he should have asked is like, "Is
offering them the bait?"
Is Superman the gayest immigrant alive?
So I have to
him
say,
and Pedro going at it.
Yeah.
James Gunn walked himself into this situation with his interview with the Times of London, where he said that Superman is an immigrant, and then he walked it back and tried to qualify it. He did give them fodder for questions like this. There's no denying it. So.
But he did artfully dance around this question. In fact, look, you're right about everything that he said prior, but if you were looking for like a gold standard in how to avoid taking the bait in questions, he does pretty well with this. And I honestly think that the Nathan Fillion one is pretty good as well, but people want you to be mad. So let's listen to what he's talking about. They're talking about the MAGA backlash. That's what
the MAGA backlash.
Here we go. Here we go.
You said it's an immigrant story. It's a political movie. MAGA today is going nuts. What do you have to say to MAGA?
Going nuts.
Going nuts.
I think this movie's for everybody. I don't have anything to say to anybody. Like I'm not here to judge people. You know. I think this is a movie about kindness, and I think that's something everyone can relate to.
Okay, so what Variety did with the headline following that soundbite is James Gunn's quote, "I don't have anything to say to anybody spreading hate." He did not say the words spreading hate. He just said, "I have nothing to say."
They artfully put the quotes between the I and the anybody and then added the spreading hate because they're awful.
Right.
They're evil.
They're doing everything in their power to throw him under the bus.
This journalist is like, look, if I had to believe, like, you ever heard the joke? They're like, do Republicans pay Democrats for acting so stupid because sometimes they act so dumb they push people to the other side? I would believe 100% that there are YouTubers who are paying this dude under the table to ask these questions to give them fodder to talk about.
I'm sure that he's paid handsomely by Variety for his work. There was also the interview with Nathan Fillion on the MAGA backlash. And he says, "It's just a movie, guys. Please."
Here's his. Look, even when you look at the faces of all of these actors when they get done with the question, you can just tell they hate it.
They're so sick of it.
Oh, James has said that Superman is an immigrant story, that it is political. MAGA today was getting a little upset that he called Superman an immigrant. I wanted to get your reaction.
Somebody needs a hug. It's just a movie, guys. It's just a movie.
It's just a movie.
It's just a movie.
So that's a pretty good response.
That was a pretty good response as well. However, guys, it doesn't matter because somebody did take the bait when it came to all of this. And that, of course, wasn't even somebody important. Nope. It was James Gunn's shithead brother.
Like, why was he there? Is he a producer?
I think he's in the movie in some
he got a cameo.
He's an actor.
Okay. I haven't seen him in anything, so I don't know.
So here we go.
It is exactly what the movie is about. I think that, like, we support our people, you know.
So
we love our immigrants. We love, yes, Superman is an immigrant, and yes, the people that we support in this country are immigrants, and if you don't like that, then you're not American. People who
like, I'm picturing whoever's in charge over at Warner Brothers, not DC, because DC would be James Gunn. They're just like watching the money get flushed down the toilet. My question was, I did tweet about this. I said, look, This movie should be as uncontroversial as possible. That's what Warner Brothers should want right now. There should be nothing like what would this marketing campaign have looked like under Kamala? Like, this would never have been the narrative under Kamala. They would never even have brought this stuff up. It wouldn't have mattered because it's not relevant to what's actually going on in real world politics. But bringing up real world immigration into a story about Superman is a lose-lose for literally everyone except for the dude at Variety.
It's like you hate Superman because he's an immigrant.
And YouTubers. Who want to talk about it?
People hate him because he's an immigrant. I hate him because he's a journalist.
Yeah.
I have a reason.
Right.
We are not the same.
We are not the same.
And I can't fathom the level of misinterpretation that's going on here, and they keep kind of stoking the flames. So they brought up multiple articles. I brought up a bunch of responses from people who are in this space who are talking about it. So Stephanie says, all that for an article. This shouldn't have even been a topic of conversation to begin with when marketing this movie. Actually, Superman is an immigrant. Who cares? This movie shouldn't be a political statement. It is a Superman movie, and David Corenswet should have been the focus for the conversation as DC's new Superman. I do notice that, like, they're not talking to him. They're not talking to Lois Lane. They're not talking to Rachel Brosnahan. Jonas J. Campbell says Variety, and especially Mark Malkin, that's the guy, desperately want this movie to be about Donald Trump and how much they hate you. And Alan Eng over at Film Threat says, what the hell is Variety doing?
I disagree even with the idea that Superman is an immigrant, but someone did reply saying he's an immigrant who quickly assimilated, doesn't break the law, has a good job, and helps others. He doesn't speak Pigeon Krypton and take welfare, join a street gang, and bitch about the man keeping him down. So even if we accepted the premise that he's an immigrant, it wouldn't be comparable.
I thought he's from Kansas.
No, yeah. So the better example would be a baby left at a church with no documentation.
Where's
my
he
opinion.
from?
Sure.
He's from Krypton, which is another planet.
Oh, so then if we call him an alien, they get all bent out of shape.
That's the funny
Right.
thing. I said if you'd made this movie 10 years ago, you could have made a lot more funny, quippy comments about it because he would be an illegal alien.
Yeah.
But that term is not politically correct anymore.
Yeah, they could have spun it, be like, good luck, Stephen Miller, stopping this alien. That'd be awesome.
And then, look, here's the thing though. It's stupid. And everything that they're doing over at these outlets to sabotage the movie is stupid. But they're not entirely wrong because Fox News did have headlines like this.
So wait, is MAGA actually going nuts?
I mean, if you're an old boomer, I
Yeah.
guess, who watches Fox News,
All right.
super woke, iconic hero to embrace pro-immigrant themes.
Is Superman going super
woke. Let's listen to what Kellyanne Conway has to say about this.
Kellyanne Conway is talking about this?
Finally.
That's when I think about who I want to hear about my opinions on
What does
Superman.
she have to
Yesterday
say?
at Citi Field, go Yanks. And you should see the people sitting for the national anthem for God Bless America. It's really just, I can't believe that we've come down to that. And I don't know. We don't go to the movie theater to be lectured to and to have somebody throw their ideology onto us. I wonder if it'll be successful.
You know what it says on his cape? MS-13.
Wow.
Is it super
Clever.
imposed or it actually says that?
It is super.
Just on the knuckles.
Superimposed.
One more thing.
Okay.
Wow, that's comedy gold.
Oh, bro.
Bro, what if it said like Trende Alagua on his belt? Wouldn't that be so woke?
He's a Kansas man. That's what Superman is. He's a Kansas man.
That would actually hit.
So they're not entirely wrong.
So
because-
everyone on every side of the political spectrum is cannibalizing this movie.
Yes, they are.
Why?
I have no
What
idea.
I actually want to know is why is the Hollywood trade media seemingly united against this movie?
Because it gets them clicks. Because people like us will click on it and make content about it, which links
But
to
they
their
blindly
sites.
celebrate so many other movies. I think it probably is just because of what Superman represents in American culture and that he's this powerful,
an
masculine
alpha
character. Yeah, and also truth, justice, in the American way.
Well, they
and
don't
history.
even say that in the movie. James Gunn
Right.
got rid of truth, justice in the American
But
way.
it's
Granted,
because of what his character represents, I think, that's the reason why it's a particular target for them.
he's just a Kansas man, okay? Like, he didn't do anything wrong. And we're not shipping him off to El Salvador or wherever
He
we're
would
shipping
burn
him.
the bars with his eyes.
You know what? Jester Bell said, hold on, let me pull this up here. It says, Variety was the one who clipped Gunn's words out of context. Now they keep posting updates like this and bringing it out on the red carpet. I'm not even a Gunn fan, but it's like they're trying to fan the flames and manufacture an outrage where there was none following this movie. No, I think, look, the thing is they did the same thing to Marvel when they did the Agatha stuff where the guy's like, is this the gayest show ever made? And they're all like, I guess.
No, but they didn't say like reluctantly, like, sure, I guess, you know, if you're gay, you can like the show too. They leaned into it just as much.
TV show doesn't matter. Like, doesn't have to do $700 million.
I recall
at the
Aubrey
box
Plaza
office.
saying it's going to be a gay explosion. Yeah. So
I think that if it's a television show, there isn't as much need for it to do well, so they can be looser with it. Right now, what James Gunn is, plus James Gunn is financially incentivized because he's the head of the studio. I am sure there is money tied to bonuses related to box office performance.
But he's like, it's not that big of a deal if we don't make much money.
To me, that was worse though. That felt to me like he was trying to set the stage in case it doesn't do well, which tells me that he doesn't actually think that the movie is going to do very well.
No, we were like trying to make less than $700 million.
It's just a movie, like big deal.
But there was nothing wrong with what James Gunn said. There wasn't even anything wrong with what Nathan Fillion said. It was his stupid brother, and James Gunn now is like he's going to not invite him to Christmas.
There was something wrong with what James Gunn said in the written interview.
Yes.
That caused this to happen. It was a domino effect. And what actors and directors alike need to understand in Hollywood is that they are in an adversarial relationship with the media, and they can't seem to catch up to that fact.
It's funny because it actually kind of makes the journalists look smarter than them. Because look, they have an adversarial relationship with us because we're not financially incentivized to say nice things about their movie. So when we watch when I watch this stuff and I comment on stuff James Gunn is saying and being like, look, this guy is making all of the marketing about him and it's not even about the rest of the cast. That's a very easy relationship to understand. They don't like us. I would actually argue that most of the people in this space, the ones who are not audience captured, they would rather see the movie do well and talk about things that they actually want to talk about. But a lot of the times that's not how it plays out. But that's happened like when I've been reviewing movies. Some people say that we're too positive, like that I'm too positive. Other people say they see our channel and nothing nice is ever said about anything ever. And I was like, if you think I'm an example of like somebody who's negative about every movie, you've never seen me talk about movies, because I love everything. I love all the slop.
We have a 20 from Pop Culture Junkie. Some of these Superman articles and reviews in the trade press are stupid and toxic enough to make me want to never acknowledge that I used to review movies. Well, it just, know that you're an exception to the rule.
I saw this other tweet from Jonas J. Campbell. Pull it up here. It says, it's getting to the point where I will trust no one's opinion on the Superman movie. My mutuals are all over the place. Trades are straight up lying. India-themed bots are out in force. Yeah, I said, really, I just want both teams to have fun, but I don't know who's going to win. I don't know if it's going to be the Gunn fans, the Snyder Bros, or the Indian bot farms. And I imagine that it's the Indian bot farms that end up winning.
The crazy part of it is that most normies who are going to see this movie, whether it's in theaters or when it goes to streaming, don't even know who James Gunn is and have no idea who's directing this movie.
I mean, that depends. As far as directors go, he's pretty
front-facing as far as directors go, but normies literally don't pay attention to press about movies. They don't know this stuff. They're not seeing these headlines for the most part and using it to make their decision about whether to go to the movie. So
this was also from Force of Light. It says, if I'm the head of Warner Brothers, I would have all my movies avoid variety in their interviewers who try to trap and then twist what it is they say to fit the narrative. It reminded me of the Joker press tour where they just banned the journalists because they're like, oh, we heard this movie's gonna make kids want to shoot up people.
Well, the closest that interviews and headlines have gotten to breaking into the normie sphere is Rachel Zegler promoting Snow White. And I'll restate, as I said yesterday, I still have yet to see a single clip or interview from David Cornsweet or Rachel Brosnahan saying anything unflattering about this movie. Nope. It's only James Gunn that's being a problem right now. And he should probably take a slice of humble pie and step back, given that he's not the star.
Yep.
But he's obsessed with making himself as front-facing as possible and promoting this.
Everything that I've seen from the stars of this movie has been good. Everything I've seen from David Cornsweet, I watched this this piece of advertisement where they erected like a giant Superman between two buildings in like the UK on like between the spire of two buildings looked really, really cool. There's all of these interviews with David Corenswet where he says all the right things. I think I saw Disparu said like it was like David Corenswet desperately trying to like shovel water out of a sinking boat.
What I'm waiting to see, I don't know if we ever will see it, but I'm just anticipating the day where one actor or actress finally responds to a journalist like this and says, I'm not answering a question like that. You're clearly trying to get a soundbite.
See, but the thing is, I think that we would be giving James Gunn that praise if he hadn't invited all of this upon himself. His answer in the Variety soundbite is perfect. The problem is he brought the question on himself with everything else that has been stated about it.
But if they asked David Corenswet a question like that, like if he just said, I'm not engaging with that conversation,
that was
let's
like
move
that
on.
did happen with Quentin Tarantino when they're like, Margot Robbie's only in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood for like 7 seconds, and he's like, I reject your premise.
Wait, they were mad.
They were mad that
she
she
didn't
didn't have
get
enough
more
screen time, and they're like, does that mean you like hate women? He's like, I reject your premise.
Yeah.
Like that was the right way to answer that question. But then again, that's a director, not an actor. He probably feels a bit more free because he's Quentin Tarantino and he is the face of his movies.
This is like James Gunn recreating the moment where they asked Greta Gerwig, how is the Barbie movie a feminist statement? And she decided to attempt to answer that question
with word salad that Kamala would have loved.
Extremely pseudo-intellectual way, and bloviated for about a minute and a half without coming up with any answer.
It was like me. It was like literally. I need to repost it. It was like me on IRL. If Tim asks me,
if you don't actually think your movie is a feminist statement, can you not just say that?
It's like when
just disengage from the conversation.
It's like Tim's like, what do you think about Iran and Israel? I'm like, well, Barbie's a feminist movie because
I mean, Iran kind of sounds like a lady name.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.